Hi everyone, the case of Bowoto versus Chevron, after just over 1 month, is over. It ended today with Chevron scoring a victory where it was found to be not guilty of 58 counts of assault, battery, and torture, to name some of them, against Larry Bowoto and his compadres in Nigeria. The jury found that Mr. Bowoto's claims were unfounded and in the process acquitted Chevron. This case has huge implications for the activities of corporations around the world, both large and small. But rather than my explaining it to you, I went to Don Campbell, the spokesman of Chevron, to get his point of view. But before we go in that direction, I want to add that Ben Voorhees, the attorney for Larry Bowoto, has said that they intend to appeal this outcome. Here's Don Campbell.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Last time that we talked, it was in front of the U.S. District Court, Northern California, in San Francisco, and you were talking about Chevron's position on the Bowoto versus Chevron case.
That's right.
And today we've had an outstanding day, I would say, an interesting day, and an end to a rather fascinating case. But for my viewers, recap the issue with Bowoto versus Chevron from Chevron's point of view.
Sure. We had an oil production facility located 9 miles offshore in Nigeria that a large group of protesters boarded without permission and decided they wanted to hold our employees hostage, demanding ransom in the form of money and jobs. And this occurred 10 years ago in May of 1998. And over a period of 3 days, they proceeded to terrorize the people that they were holding hostage. We negotiated with the leaders of the protest to no avail. In fact, our negotiator was taken hostage, and we feared for his own personal safety as part of this process. When we turned to local law enforcement authorities to try and get the situation resolved safely and peacefully, the law enforcement authorities went out to the platform. When they landed, they were attacked by some of the violent elements that were leading this demonstration, this protest. And that's when people were hurt, 2 people were shot. A group of these protesters then kidnapped 7 of our contract workers and took them ashore and held them for 3 more days, again continuing to ask for a ransom for them. What happened after that incident was that they tried to use U.S. courts to hold us accountable for the violence that they instigated on our platforms, to get the ransom money that they could not get from their unlawful deeds. So this case was really about hostage takers suing the hostage victims and trying to get ransom money out of a U.S. court. The jury heard the evidence and they came out 100% in favor of Chevron. And so we're very pleased with this result.
Do you have any idea what the jury's thinking was? Was it presented in court what the primary idea that swayed the jury was, if anything?
Well, I mean, they argued that it was a peaceful protest and that there was undue response to shut down the protest, and that's why people got hurt. But what the jury heard was they sent letters to us threatening violence if we didn't pay them money. They boarded our platform and they threatened to hurt people, they assaulted people, they had weapons, they were drinking, they were smoking marijuana, they poured diesel fuel on one of the main facilities that they occupied and threatened to burn it down, killing everybody aboard. And then they kidnapped, they attacked the authorities, and then they kidnapped our employees after that. So there was nothing peaceful about either their intent or their actions. And that evidence came through loud and clear during the 4-week trial.
Talk to me about the implications of this case for multinationals, not just multinational corporations, but I have a small company. I do business around the world. Any company doing the business around the world, particularly any American company.
This is very important. We have, for example, employees that work in over 100 countries around the world, and we're just one company. So many U.S. companies have employees working overseas. And every company wants its employees to be able to go to work safely and go home from work safely. When they work in dangerous parts of the world, companies need to be able to turn to local law enforcement authorities when their employees are placed in harm's way by people who want to extract money illegally from the companies. And in this particular case, we turned to the local law enforcement authorities. It was a reasonable approach after 3 days of trying to resolve this situation peacefully and safely. And had the other side got their way in this case, it would have created a problem for companies had they turned to law enforcement authorities to help resolve situation and people got hurt as part of it.
And we're talking about something that occurred originally in 1999, correct?
1998.
This is 2000,
right.
1998. This is like 10 years later.
That's right.
And the situation in terms of the militant organizations really has gotten worse, hasn't it?
It has. I mean, the violence in the region has escalated, and this kind of behavior has been at the root of some of that escalation, and we're seeing it all over parts of Africa.
2 weeks
today.
ago, Monopoly's CEO was just kidnapped. I think he's still held.
Right.
By a splinter group from one of the warring factions, I think is an offshoot of the Alanje. Is that right?
So I mean, there's lots of stuff happening over there. It's very dangerous, and the local law has states that the Nigerians are the ones who provide security,
right.
And so we have to abide by the local laws of the countries in which we operate. And I think it stands to reason that if you had a loved one who was working overseas, and that person was being taken hostage by a member of a militant group and they were threatening to kill them, wouldn't you want the company to work with law enforcement authorities to try and have that loved one returned home safely? And is it right for those bad guys to be able to come to U.S. courts to try and hold that company responsible for the violence that they have instigated, that they created? And in this particular case, the jury said that is not right, and they sided with us.
My viewers asked this question: where is the Nigerian government in all this?
Well, I mean, the Nigerian government has a very difficult situation to deal with. And we certainly sympathize with the people in the Niger Delta. There is tremendous poverty and there are tremendous social programs. But one commodity can't solve all the problems that a country like Nigeria has. As important a commodity as oil is, it can provide jobs, it can provide revenues, we can be a positive force in the communities, we can deal with health issues, we can deal with education, but we can't solve every problem. And you know what? Neither can the government overnight solve every problem in that country. So there are tremendous challenges, but that does not mean that violence, attacking innocent people, holding people hostage for ransom should be rewarded in a U.S. court, and that's what the jury decided today.
Closing it out of respect for your time, where is it now with respect to Chevron's future operations in Nigeria? I understand there was a June
Yes.
bombing. And now you're posting for jobs there, which I noticed on the boards.
Right.
Seems like things are stabilizing now. Is that correct? Or
Well, we are investing in Nigeria. We have a major project that came on stream this year. It's a very important project for us called the Agbami Offshore Project. We were a major oil producer there. As I said, we provide jobs, we provide training, we generate revenues for the government that they use for their social programs, and we work with the government on social programs and healthcare and education in particular. So we are there for the long term. We believe in the country. We believe in the people of Nigeria. We're working to help solve the problems. We want to be a positive force, and we want to have a voice in the dialogue that can lead to peace in the Delta. But it's different when we have to defend ourselves from violent actions such as having our facilities blown up and having our people terrorized by some of these militant individuals. So we have to, on one side, protect our people, but on the other side, try and be a problem solver, and that's what we're trying to do.
Todd, thank you for your time.
You're
Congratulations.
welcome. Thank you.
Some of you might ask why I use the term outstanding or congratulations in discussing this case, and I'll tell you why very bluntly. Because the real organization that should be on trial here is the government of Nigeria. Nigeria has failed to structure and implement an economic development policy that helps its poorest citizens. Not only that, Nigeria has in place a law that brings revenue, or is supposed to bring revenue, to its poorest citizens. But Nigeria doesn't even pay into that fund, which means that the same people that want jobs, the ones that attack oil refineries and blow up pipelines, are the ones that don't get the help. But there's an even larger problem, and that's the amazing cultural difficulty and undereducation that exists in the Niger Delta region. Some people there, some of the poorest people in that area, some of Nigerians' poorest citizens, blow up pipelines with such reckless abandon that in some cases they end up incinerating themselves. That's right, you heard me, incinerating themselves. So that would tell you that they obviously don't understand the actions that they take. In the middle of this morass steps organizations like the Amazon Defense Coalition, claiming to be the watchdog and protector of, in this case, Nigeria's poorest citizens. But one has to ask the question, if they are truly watchdogs and protectors of Nigeria's poorest citizens, then why isn't the Amazon Defense Coalition placing any legal pressure at all on the government of Nigeria to provide resources to those poorest citizens? That's the question that I believe should be answered. I'm waiting for that answer. But there's even larger problem. If we are to solve the global poverty problem, we need the help of governments like the one in Nigeria. I am told that there are positive examples of third world country governments actually helping their poor citizens, in this case in Angola. And in the future, I'll report that to you. Thank you.